Hello. Happy Sunday morning.
Happy Sunday. I thought it was Saturday when I did my live this morning.
I'm trying to get this up on my laptop so I can see what's happening.
Shall I do it?
Is not
Shall I do it, darling?
playing balls.
Balls? It's not playing balls. We're just going to wait for you guys to arrive. I know what you mean, though. Oh, there we are. I've got one person.
It's the new Facebook. Terrible. Morning, Steph.
Hi, Steph.
How is your wee poochie? It's always getting ready with a special bowl.
Babe, I think it's our. Oh no, you're in there now.
in.
It's our Wi-Fi. Really. Hi everyone.
Oh, Wi-Fi. There we are. Oh look, picture of you in your bikini on there. Why is that?
There isn't. He's being annoying.
Oh, I can see us. Oh,
yeah, there we are. Coffee time going on.
Morning, Hillary.
Now.
How you doing?
Hi, Hillary. There's a few other people. We can't see everyone because.
So what is it today? I know Scotland are playing rugby. Are they playing football as well, Steph? I see that a furry fella had his special bowl out.
Hi, Ellie.
And I don't mean your hubby, I mean your dog.
I'm catching bits of this.
Morning, Alison.
He's I don't know what he's taken this morning. You've had too much coffee.
Morning, Fiona.
Hi. Hello. Morning, guys. The wee pooch is good. Just hi.
Lovely.
Morning, Ali. Just wait for a few of you to arrive. So,
Range is going.
just to explain how this rolls out, if you weren't here for last Sunday, we are doing this football. We're doing this because we did this for when we went into the first lockdown at the end of March. And it was mainly to make sure that you felt connected and supported and part of a very loving community where we could share our highs and lows. So, since the world seems to have gone pretty much the same way everywhere, but obviously England has now gone back into its second lockdown, we wanted to do this again every Sunday for the foreseeable future. Hi, Claire.
Buona dia, Victoria.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, Steph, we've got people joining from all over Europe, I think. Obviously, Steph now in Scotland is locked down. England still is, and I saw this morning that they're definitely going to lift it on the 2nd, but with a new stricter tier system, i.e. they're not really lifting it. So anyway.
But that's why we wanted to do this, guys, is just to give you some support and some actionable tools and tactics to stay resilient in mind, body and soul. Hi, Susanna, how are you? It's so nice to see you. And Claire,
hey,
it's lovely to have you here.
Hey, Claire.
Added you to the group, so thanks for joining. Welcome to the Midlife Mentors community.
Yeah, stay happy and positive. Because it is totally possible during these times. It's just a state of mind. So,
but also being compassionate with yourself. So, hi Sam. Hello, Sally Hitchin.
I've got friends in Hitchin, Sam.
Hello, where are you all from? Anyway, so what was I saying? Yes, it is. We also need to be really compassionate with ourselves because there's a lot of kind of positivity shaming as well. I call it out there where everyone's kind of saying that this is what you should be doing, learning new skills. It was pretty much like that for lockdown 1. And I was just like, oh my goodness, can we just stop putting pressure on everyone to be doing this, that and the other? But what we would say is making sure that you have a really good, strong routine that you stick to. This is just overall a really strong routine that you stick to, that you don't let it slide, that you are exercising, that you are getting outside, that you are doing the mental reps and the physical reps, and reaching out to people, basically, and making sure that you have a really, really strong network of people that you can be really truthful and honest with.
Which is why we have this community as well. So this is a group you can pop into anytime and just safely express how you're feeling, any challenges, any wins. You can lift other people up. And I think don't underestimate, we've seen with our programming around the community we have around that, like how someone else basically just talking about their day and what's lifted them up actually helps lift other people up, or conversely people going today I'm feeling challenged for these reasons, and seeing other people lift them up. So do utilise the community to support each other. Morning, Gary, how are you doing?
Hi, Gary. I love your comment on my post about multi-level marketing. I'm not going to annoy you, Claire. No, when I get on a rant about something which I think is incredibly unethical, and that is that video. I do get on a bit of a rant, but I haven't done
Let's
one of those.
not go there now, Claire. Let's keep it positive. Gary, loved your little comment for Saturday morning. Boxing annihilated. Well done.
So, guys, let's start with. We only had 2 questions actually today. for this session. We had 3 last week, we had 2 this week, but we
Do
are
feel
going to
free to drop any questions in while we're talking.
Yeah, or talk over me, which we both do to each other.
Don't get a word in edgeways, Claire.
We both do it to each other. So I've just got to say this to you guys. Did you see the lovely post that I did about James and our story? And then the next day, do you know what he said to me? You smell like a cat and you've got feet like Pingu.
Can I just put this in context? In my defence, Your Honour. Claire had just eaten tuna from the can and then tried to kiss me. So yes, she did smell like a cat.
It's so nice, that's it. It's so rude.
And she dropped a weight on her foot, so she was like hobbling around with her feet out like this. And I was like,
no,
you
my
do
feet
actually
are-
look a bit like Pingu right now.
My feet are extraordinarily large, actually. Well, my toes are really, really long, so I keep stubbing my
Not
toes.
big feet, they're just long feet.
Yeah, they're really odd-looking feet, to be honest. I stubbed a toe in Ibiza on the one rock on the beach and broke it. I have broken my toe. I know I don't get much sympathy, but I did break my toe. And then 2 days ago, I dropped a 10 kilo. I found the week hard to get motivated. Yeah. You watch the workshop and podcast. Yes, Fiona.
Definitely
Let me
Fiona.
see. Actually, could you see what? Yeah, I need to rewatch the workshop on resistance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Resistance coming up. Everyone's going to
Let's
reach a
talk
point.
about resistance as well.
Well, do you want to talk about that now? Why
We'll
don't
talk
you
about that now. So why is it important to get a routine bedded in? Listen, like we've been there. We know what it's like.
I've really
especially
struggled.
during lockdown.
I've
Like
really struggled.
everything you had that was solid, that gave structure to your life, has probably been taken away. So you're likely probably not going to the office, or if you are, it's reduced hours. You know, before COVID, we all had a pretty much, I would imagine, a set routine through our day of how our days rolled out. With lockdown, that's gone. But our subconscious craves familiarity and routine. So it's really, really important to help us feel basically safe inside, that we create a routine around our days. And it's all too easy to kind of just like hit the alarms, so think, I haven't got to go to work. I'll just lie in bed. I'll watch This Morning, blah, blah, blah. No, if we can get up and we can get a routine going, it's going to give structure to our day, and that's sending a signal to our subconscious that things are still like normalised for us, and that we should carry on doing the things we've been doing. So it will fulfil deeply if you've got your hierarchy of needs of actually like way down the bottom of the pyramid, just feeling safe and secure, because with everything that's going on, we can feel that need taken away. And obviously, if those are Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we basically want to climb it to reach self-actualization. But if the bottom layer is chipped away, we need to come back to that and reinforce it. So routine is a really positive way of doing that. And we're obviously going to say do exercise because that's who we are. But there's loads of research that shows exercise is really good for like lifting your mood. It produces the endorphins when you train. So try and exercise at least twice a week, please. Even like a 20-minute session if you can, a little bit more. It will really help. And don't forget to do the stuff like the mindset work, like your gratitude lists and things like that, just to keep on top and keep focused and keep in a positive mindset.
And go out into Mother Nature. She's Mother Nature for a reason. I know we're only allowed out at certain times, potentially wherever you are, but make sure you get that vitamin D, because again, vitamin D has been linked to, a lack of vitamin D has been linked to depression. And low mood and lowering the immune system. So what we want to do, like we get such a lift from even just being outside and breathing in some fresh air, depending on where you are. Obviously, when we were in central London, but we still went out into the parks. We got out into some green space when we were there, and we were very blessed. We've got the sea here. But just make sure that you are getting outside as well to lift your mood.
Yeah, and the original question there was actually about
resistance.
Was saying going back to resistance. So resistance is what comes up for us when we're trying to move towards a new goal. Basically, we can't be in growth and comfort at the same time. They're opposing states. We're either comfortable and we're in the familiar, or we're shooting for a target, we're growing. We can't be in both. And what will happen is often, as we go for the growth option, our subconscious will try and pull us back to the safe place, the familiar place, because it will take the path of least resistance, and it's doing its job, which is to keep you safe, which is to keep you familiar, even if you really, really want to grow. So resistance could look like just procrastination, could look like over-researching something, could look like just drama dropping into your life, could
choosing
look like
something else, going,
choosing
that doesn't
something
work
else,
anymore, I've got to do this instead.
Swapping around things. Or it can sometimes be just like going, I'm doing really well, coasting along, and then suddenly you're like, motivation's gone, I'm just not going to bother today. So resistance will come up for you when you're establishing a new routine. Really important that we just move through it. Basically, we talk about congruence here, which we talked about last week. You know, our external and our internal worlds have to match. So if we're changing the external, the internal's trying to pull us back, really important we keep going so they match up and we move forward.
Yeah, we all get resistance. I was talking to someone on the phone, a client that I used to work with on the phone this morning via WhatsApp, and you know, she's just achieved the most phenomenal results. She's now like a size 10 down here. Her lower half is now a size 10, and she's like, I keep buying the wrong size clothes. So again, it's kind of like it's that's a form of resistance in itself, that your subconscious mind is like, no, you are still bigger than you are. That's still my self-identity. So that's your self-identity is going to bring up resistance for you all the time. And I said to this lovely lady, I won't mention names because she might be watching. I was basically saying, you know, it will just take a while for your identity to catch up, but it will happen. And also the resistance will, once you just keep moving forward anyway, keep moving forward, stopping. Okay, we don't have the motivation to do things sometimes. I had a real dip about 2 weeks ago where I had zero motivation to get up and work out and train, to do any of my mindset reps. I felt so low from various things. And, you know, my resistance was going, oh, Claire, just do this, just don't do it. And you know what? Just actually doing something. Something is better than nothing. So that just helps alleviate that kind of resistance, making you stop. So just doing something. Just know there are going to be times where you don't feel like doing it, and you just need to do it anyway, because you need to think of your why and the greater goal, and what happens if you stop.
Yeah, keep taking small steps, because even a small step is still progress, and it's sending that reinforcement message to your subconscious that you're still doing it.
Exactly. So yes, Fiona, re-look at the resistance workshop inside the Midlife method. Thanks for this. After completing 8 weeks, I need to find another goal. Yeah, and also that's really true, Fiona. We have to keep finding different goals that excite us and make us want to expand and keep reaching, because that's human nature. You know, we are designed to evolve and keep wanting more. Here's the balance, though. It's always, you know, we always want more, and we want to become more. We want to become more fulfilled. That's at the crux of it. We want to feel more joy and more fulfillment. So we're always reaching for more, but then we also need to balance that out with being grateful for where we are right now. This is the trick. That even I get this wrong all the time. Like, I'm reaching over here, but I need to keep reminding myself and putting myself back to the present about what I have right now that I'm incredibly grateful for. So, but yes, 100%. Like, we can work with you on that, Fiona, to have a look at your next goal.
And make sure anyone that's going for a goal, make sure you have an emotional connection with it. Because often we'll just feel like, oh, we should get a goal. It's like, oh, I use this lockdown to recreate the Bayeux tapestry using, you know, pasta or something. If you haven't got an emotional connection to it, you're likely to fail. So find something that's really going to motivate you.
What goes on in your head? The Bayeux tapestry with pasta.
It's a good
Where
idea.
did that
I might
even
try
come
it.
from? My God. We can help you with that, Fiona. Absolutely.
Gary's got a question. We'll come back to that, Gary.
Yeah.
Claire, what was the questions you had?
The question I had from Steph was around hormones. So this is a passion of mine. Listen, guys, I'm going to kind of briefly go over the female cycle on when to train, how hard to train, what's going on at that time.
This is fascinating.
It is really, really fascinating. For us women out there, it is really, really fascinating. For you guys out there, it might help you understand just a little bit more. Probably not. But yeah, it's really, really important, actually, that we do know what's going on with our female cycle, because it stops us pushing our body to levels that actually hormonally it's not designed to go for at that time in our cycle. But also it stops us getting frustrated. It makes sense of things. When we're aware of what's going on in our body, we tend to be a lot kinder to ourselves, because we're aware and we're like, okay, that's just a phase. I know it will pass, and then I'll be in the next phase, literally. So Steph's question was kind of like, you know, what's going on with the hormones at different times in my cycle, when I feel wiped out and drained, what should I do with regards to exercise and nutrition? One of the things I would say is always try, for the ladies out there, do try and take a B complex, vitamin B complex, because it does, it's been said that it helps balance female hormones. So I take a B complex. It does other things as well, but I take a B complex to balance my hormones. James is going to come up with lots and lots of sarcastic comments, I'm sure, throughout this. So, what I wanted to say was, we have different stages of our cycle, our female cycle. When we are menstruating, then we go into what's called the follicular phase. Then we ovulate around obviously day 14. Then we go into the luteal phase before we menstruate again. So that's the cycle. Interestingly enough, just as our estrogen and our progesterone are what is causing us to feel generally these highs and lows within ourselves, with our power, with our strength, with our endurance, you know, feeling hungry, feeling not so hungry, feeling hot. So all of these things are to do with our female hormones going up and down. So interestingly enough, some people find this, it goes against what they would have thought, but around ovulation, so around your day 14 is actually when you are at your strongest. It's actually when you can go full throttle with your workouts and actually push yourself. So I'm going to take each stage as it comes. Follicular is just after you have menstruated. So this is day 1 to 7 to 14 basically. You should still go fairly easy because your testosterone is actually going up. So it's not just men that have testosterone, it's us women as well. So you're increasing in your testosterone going towards when you ovulate. So as you're increasing that testosterone, that obviously increases your strength and your muscle gain. So you are going to be stronger around this time. So if you're doing any strength training, this is the time to do it. This is the time to get to personal best. Your intensity of your workouts can be super high. Interestingly though, your metabolic rate might be a bit lower than your baseline, as what you normally are. So you can counteract that with going harder with some of your like HIIT workouts, some of your endurance workouts, and your strength training. So it's a weird thing. Your metabolic rate might be a little bit lower than your baseline, but you can negate that by doing harder workouts. The thing here around ovulation is, sorry to talk about it, but I hope this is really interesting. Your risk of injury is super, super high at ovulation. Super high. I've seen this in myself. Now I know some of this, and I'm by no means an expert on this, by the way. I've just kind of done some research around it. Some people say some different bits and bobs, but just generally speaking, this is what's going on in your body. You are at a higher injury risk around ovulation. And that's due to hormone fluctuations like estrogen. So you need to make sure that you really warm up and cool down massively around your ovulation, your day 14. It's at its peak basically, and I've seen this. I've honestly seen I've got more injury risk around this time than any other time in my cycle. Then you have the luteal phase. So that's when you're kind of coming down, you're going towards you're menstruating, coming towards that. You're going to feel more fatigued. This is when you should start bringing it down a little bit in intensity. Your performance is going to decrease slightly. You need to get adequate rest. You need shorter, less intense workouts. And, you know, I'm the first one to say, put my hand up, I'm not brilliant at doing things like yoga and Pilates and all that sort of stuff. But this is a really, really good time to start doing those kind of stretching, yoga, Pilates workouts, because actually your body's not going to be able to cope with the high intensity stuff that you were doing in the phase before. When you're menstruating as well, really interestingly, some people say proceed as normal. I know when I have my period, I can't proceed as normal. So actually even just keeping it kind of slightly lower around that phase. So in a nutshell, your point at which you are going to be increasing your strength training, that when you are going to be stronger, when you'll be like more likely to be able to do intense workouts where your endurance is stronger, is as you're going at the end of your follicular phase, going into your ovulation stage. So I hope that makes sense, and that will taper off as you go into your luteal phase. One thing I wanted to say about there's some studies as well around how we're feeling emotionally at that time. Obviously, mid-cycle, when we're ovulating, we've actually got, this is also when our libido is a little bit higher, obviously for obvious reasons. But it's also when we're feeling like really high in self-esteem and self-worth. There's been some studies around this. And then before our period, before we start menstruating, we've got higher levels of anxiety, we're less able to concentrate. So again, that goes in line with if you're feeling a bit low, do some really amazing things like yoga, meditation, bringing yourself kind of like into a better place within yourself, do some grounding stuff, you know, go out into the fresh air, maybe do a bit of yoga and some stretching out there is what I would advise you to do. Anything that makes you feel good as you're going into your into your period. So just on the food stuff, when you're menstruating, avoid super salty foods because we're going to be bloated anyway. We hold a lot of water retention. I always say as well around weighing yourself and stuff. This is why you should not get on the scales. I mean, I hate doing it, you know, I'm really against this anyway, but for women particularly, our cycle like really does affects our weight because of all these various different factors, our hormones, but also we hold onto a lot of water around this time. So around the like when you're menstruating, avoid salty food, really, really high carby foods, because again, that's going to hold onto that water retention and make you feel more bloated and icky. The luteal phase, you're going to be feeling really tired coming into your menstruation. You're feeling low, so eat foods that produce high serotonin, because actually our serotonin, our happy hormone, is going to be going lower. That's why we feel a bit anxious, a bit low. So things like quinoa are really good around then. Just be careful of the amount of carbs you're having for the bloating, but do try and add something like quinoa in for serotonin. And around the time that you are menstruating, I'm nearly finished, eat magnesium-rich food because that helps fight fatigue. So things like spinach and seeds and stuff like that. So I could go on and on. Make sure your iron levels, obviously for women, we have a tendency to have low iron levels. So making sure that your iron levels are balanced. I think that's about it. I mean, I honestly could go on and on and on, but I won't.
But I think I'm right in saying that a lot of like elite female athletes will manipulate their cycles, be hitting follicular at competition time, right? Because it does give you that much of a boost.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you're around ovulation is when you're super, super strong. You can get, I know this, and here's the thing, you can track your cycle. Someone asked me this. You can track your cycle with something called MyFlow app. It's one of the best ones that I've been told. I don't use it, so you feedback to me, let me know if it's any good. But MyFlow app is quite handy apparently, looking at your sleep, your hormone levels and how you're feeling, and you can track, and then it picks up what you're feeding into the app, and then will start help you understand and have more awareness of when you're peaking in your performance and all that kind of stuff. But I hope that helps. Just making sure, obviously, all the time that you are keeping your protein high as well. Your protein levels high, because it's really, really important when we've got a lack of energy and we're not feeling as strong, to make sure. And also we feel hungrier going into our when we're menstruating, we feel hungrier. So making sure that you are eating protein, because protein triggers leptin, the IL-4 hormone. So just up it around then. I've been going on. Sorry guys, it's just one of those things that I find really passionate about. I hope, Steph, I hope that helps. I hope that helps. Right.
And we've actually got a podcast on hormones. Actually, so long it's split into two. So go back and find that. And there is, I think it's the second one is all about the menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Midlife Mentors podcast. Go take a listen. There's two on hormones there.
Victoria said the health app on iPhone tracks the cycle really well. So that's amazing. Great. Thanks, guys.
So we have a question that came in from a guy who wanted to remain anonymous. But this is for the men and women. But he was basically asking that lockdown's throwing up some relationship challenges.
God, what's that stat about divorce?
Oh, it's at highest level since 1972, but I think it's going to get even higher thanks to lockdown. Good time to retrain as a divorce lawyer, perhaps.
Shouldn't joke, really.
Shouldn't joke.
Super useful advice, thank you. I'm really pleased, Steph. I know I can kind of flip-flop around with that, but I get super passionate, so yeah. Talking about relationships now.
Yes. how you want to basically know how can he be more emotionally available, talk more about how he's feeling with his partner. So this is useful for the men and the women there. And the thing is, like, men have often, due to their upbringing, been coached to be quite emotionally stunted. We learn from a very young age that showing emotion is a sign of weakness. You know, from very, very young boys in school, you know, if you fall over and you hurt yourself and you cry, then that's like, yeah, the pack will get you and start. So you learn not to show emotion, which obviously can have its place at times, but it's not so helpful when we're in a relationship. So we're going to find is men are often bottling up their emotions, and sometimes they do really want to talk about it, but they don't know how to. And this is where actually both partners in a relationship play a role. Always. Now, it's really important that in a relationship you can talk to each other and communicate, but you have to have a basis of open communication. And what can tragically sometimes happen is, again, we talk about gender roles here. Females are often in their heads want their man, because they've often, particularly at our age with like baby boomer parents, been brought up with the man can be quite emotionally distant and closed down, the father figure. So they're expecting their man to be strong and resilient. So we've got this kind of paradox of women that they're like, oh, sometimes I wish my fella could be more emotionally available and talk to me more about his feelings. But when the guy does actually get the courage to do that and talk about it, sometimes that can be a bit of a shock and there can be a pushback to close that down. So I'd say key things to do for men: Find the right time, find a quiet time, say that you want to talk about your emotions and what you're feeling, and you'd like to be listened to without judgment on it. And if you can gauge that then that is the right time and your partner is receptive, then go for it and just be as truthful as you can be. I'd say without doing anything that's going to be too hurtful, because the thing is, it can be easy to slip into criticism of the other person, but when that happens, of course, the barrier is going to come up and it's not going to go meaningful. So be truthful and open about how you're feeling. Try and keep it centered on how you feel, not the other person's reactions to things you may be feeling or doing. For the listener, just be quiet and listen to what the person is saying. And again, try not to come with judgment. And it's a super useful opportunity for you both to talk about, you know, your true emotions and how you're feeling and open a dialogue. And I'd suggest maybe like take baby steps. Maybe talk about, you know, agree one area of your relationship or your communication patterns that you want to talk about first, and have boundaries around it, so you stick to that area before you try and throw the whole thing open.
I think just coming up for me when you're saying all that is like sometimes our perceptions of what the other one is thinking are so wrong. We can make things up in our heads that kind of align with our own dialogue that goes on.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah, that's it. Confirmation bias. I've been using that phrase a lot lately, but we can kind of go into these discussions with an expectation of what we think they're thinking or what we want them to say. And here's the thing, like if we carry on doing that, we're only hurting ourselves. We're only prolonging the level of kind of anxiety and separation that we genuinely don't want. I mean, the most important question to ask yourself if anyone is having these communications issues is, do I want to understand? Do I really want to understand how the other person feels? Do I really want to make this better? And actually start questioning your own thoughts of what you think is really going on here. Like I always say with some of the things that we talk to clients about, ask yourself, is that really true? You know, for anything, this is sometimes, you know, our little head, our monkey mind, our little monkey chatter will go on and on and on. And sometimes it's actually really important to just say, is that really true? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say one of our handicaps, of course, is that we view the world through our lens. So what's unfolding in front of us, we actually imprint our own preconceptions and beliefs onto it. So a really useful exercise you can do is actually something called Perceptual Positions, which comes from NLP. Is when you're in a discussion or even just thinking about a situation with your, let's use the example of a partner in this time. You know, you've obviously got your view, your worldview, which is you. What it's useful to do sometimes is to actually be objective about it. So step back step back from yourself and then put yourself actually inside your partner looking at you. So in your mind's eye, you're looking at yourself saying the things and thinking, how am I coming across to them? What am I actually saying?
What's my energy?
How could this be perceived through their lens? And once you've done that, step out again and then step back and pretend you're like a third completely disinterested neutral party, watching the two of you, and then go, okay, and what would I see from that position? Sometimes just bringing the awareness to it, you can just get an aha moment that, however locked, and we all do it, right? I do it. You're so locked into your perception of an event that is the truth. But it's your truth, it's not the other person's truth, it's not the neutral truth.
Yeah.
So by swapping positions, we can actually bring another perspective to it, which is really helpful.
So yeah, is it true? And actually, what could be true? After doing that, what could actually be the truth for them? What's the alternative truth? So yeah, we just kind of, that person wanted to stay anonymous, but I hope
that helps.
Yeah, I hope that helps. I don't actually think they're here at the moment, but if you're watching it back, I hope that helps. Right, okay, Gary.
I've read about a DNA test. What is it? He
asked another question as well.
Yeah, training hard. How much average should I expect to lose on average per week? We're all different, Gary. From the way you're eating and knowing your starting point and how hard you're training. I'd say for men, we always say, depending on the individual starting size, intensity of workouts, anywhere between 0.5 to 2.5 pounds of fat loss is
per week,
within normal range in a week.
Yeah.
I'd say for you, Gary, somewhere in the 1 to 1.5 pounds, maybe.
Yeah, but you've already lost quite a lot.
You have. The thing as well, it can often
it will slow down.
Yeah, you'll get a fast acceleration.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we have more to lose, it goes fast
Yeah.
and then it starts to slow down. Also, our body gets used to it, which is why we then start mixing up the training.
Yeah.
But yeah, somewhere between 1 to 1.5 pounds.
Make sure anyone out there that's had hit some fat loss goals, it's amazing, but just know that this is a marathon, not a sprint. This is a lifestyle. We're not trying to get to a certain goal necessarily. We're trying to keep it as a healthy habit that's sustainable. So just know that these highs and lows come with it.
And also
DNA.
Very simply, Gary, what we do is you take a swab from your cheek, send it in, and then you get a report. Yeah,
so basically it looks at your predisposition regarding your genetic makeup. It looks at what your predisposition is with regards to training, with nutrition. So it looks at injury risk, recovery rate. It even looks, now the DNA testing that we do looks at your stress levels and whether you're predisposed more genetically to stress than others might be. There's actually something called a worry gene. And it also looks, with regards to nutrition, it also looks at food types and food groups that you might be super sensitive to. So the reason this is really, really good and really helpful for a lot of people is it does help because we're quite geeky, and if you quite like to understand your body, which I hope you do, understand your body, why it's working in certain ways, like we've just explained even with the female cycle, it's really, really good to kind of adapt your training and adapt your diet, actually even be aware that you might be more predisposed to stress and what you can do, some strategies around that. So it's about awareness and again about being compassionate with yourself and going, okay, for example, with training, there's you're either power or endurance. This is the way our DNA testing does. So you're either power or endurance. So actually, it means that you're, 3 times more likely to get great results?
If you train and fuel in line with your genetic potential, you get about 30% greater results than if you were going against your genetics. I just need to tell you this story and then we'll kind of wrap it up unless anyone else has got any more questions. But I always thought I was power, so power-based. I love my power, I want my lifting, I love my short sprints. I'm not a long distance endurance person at all. It comes back, my DNA testing comes back that I'm 4% of the population of endurance. Is that right? Yeah. You have the endurance gene, there's a double gene heading.
There's only 4% of the...
Something like 4% of the general population. 40% of elite endurance athletes have it.
So 4% of the population the general population has this gene that makes you endurance. Like, so if I was in line with my genetic potential and I was training in line with, I would be doing I should be doing marathons, triathlons, all these sorts of things. It's not on my bucket list of things to do, but it was quite helpful for me to know that. And I did feel a little bit, that's quite interesting. But yeah, so the whole genetic testing, I think is really, really helpful just to understand your body more.
My results are still classified in a folder codenamed Wolverine.
See, one of those moods today. I was just asking him a question. It's almost like he reads his stars. We're at the end of this now, unless anyone's got any more questions. He's reading his stars this morning. He loves reading his stars. And it said, what was it? The Sagittarius.
Fastest mind in
the fastest mind in the zodiac.
True fact.
Because when I ask him a question, I'm sure it's just marital deafness, and he just uses this excuse. He's like, "Oh, my head's trying to process what you've said."
I'm taking my perceptual positions to make sure I don't get in trouble and get a slap.
I said it back in 1999.
Is there a hidden question within the question that Claire's asking?
Babe, it takes you about 24 hours to come back to me. Thanks very much for your answers. Sign me up for the DNA. Oh, bless you.
Oh,
one
Gary,
last question.
We'll touch base with you about that.
One more question.
What is your last question? Where is it? I can't see
Stop flying up and down. I find it is reasonably strict during the week, but not so much as the weekend. Yeah, completely normal. I tell you why that happens is because, our working week is where we're like, psychologically, we're super focused in our working week. We're working hard, and you get to the weekend, and you're like, I need a little bit of a treat. I've done really well this week, so I'm going to celebrate a little bit and I'm going to give myself a little bit of a treat. That is normal. We do it as well. Like, we went out yesterday, had a nice little drink on the beach, but it is completely normal, but it's about making sure that you know that's going to happen. So you go into those circumstances having parameters and boundaries about what you're allowing yourself to eat and drink, but also just saying, okay, so if I do that today, I'm going to make up for it in the next couple of days just by bringing my carbs back a little bit, or not necessarily drinking for the next couple of days. So just actually pre-planning that weekend, what you're actually going to do, what you're going to eat, is really, really helpful. Because if you're not, what's the phrase? Forearmed is forewarned or something, I don't know.
Preparation and planning prevents poor performance. The 6 Ps. 6 Ps drilled into me at school.
So yeah, it's about going into, but everyone experiences that, Gary, honestly, and it's good too. I'd like to be interested in finding more about the DNA.
Yeah, loads of people saying that. Well, okay, we'll touch base with you all after this. As I say, it goes back to the start about establishing a routine, right? And you have to find what's going to work for you in your lifestyle. For us, the way we coach our clients is like 80-20, be good 80% of the time, 20% of the time, enjoy yourself. So for us, what works is, we know Monday to Friday, the diet is clean, we're training, we're working, we're not drinking alcohol. Come Saturday and Sunday, we'll have a couple of drinks, we'll eat the pizza, we'll have the burger. And we know that, in the scheme of things, that's all okay and balances out.
It's about being happy. It's about having a healthy relationship with food, and that nothing is off the table. As soon as you say something's off the table, that's when you want it even more. You're so welcome.
No problem,
I always say, let's not treat ourselves. We're not dogs.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, that's also the mentality that we get in. We treat ourselves with food and stuff, but if we've got a plan for what's coming up and how we're going to eat and what we're going to do, then we feel more in control. It's all about being in control of what's going on, rather than just getting caught up in your habits, unhealthy habits, and it just whirling away with you, and you're like, oh God, I've eaten pizza like every meal. Wouldn't recommend that.
No.
But I think, no.
I think that is it from us. Unless anyone has any last minute questions, we'll leave you all to enjoy your wonderful Sunday.
The sun's come out here now. We went in for a gorgeous swim.
We did.
So I'm definitely a land mammal. James is like a dolphin. He's just like in the water. But I've actually used to be quite scared of water. Until I did my diving qualification. But so I'm much better with water. But I actually went in with a massive waves this morning. It was so exhilarating. It was amazing.
So much fun.
I feel very, very grateful. So anyway, guys, all we want to say is we're always here for you. Even if you don't want to post in the group, never feel like you can't reach out and ask us questions. We might always be able to get back to you straight away, but I promise you we will get back to you. Because it's really important that you know you're not alone and that you've got people that have got your back. So that is always true, and we mean that from our heart. So we're sending you so much
love,
guys.
Have an amazing
Thanks for being
Sunday
here.
and a fabulous week this week, and we hope to see you next Sunday.
Yeah, we'll see you next Sunday. Big hugs. Bye, guys.